Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of the DATEABLE podcast. We are UA and Julie, and we are here to help all of us figure out what is going on in modern dating. But in the meantime, we're just trying to get over COVID.
I don't know how UA and I managed to get COVID at the exact same time as UA goes to take a cough break. We are not, you all know that we are both not in the same city currently, so it's not like we've been around each other, but I feel like when, like great minds sync, this happens. We're so in sync.
I guess that's the glass half full way of looking at this, is that we're syncing, but it is so crazy how it all happened because on Monday I was experiencing symptoms and then Julie was also kind of sick and you tested negative on Monday, right? Mm-hmm. And I tested positive. So I was like, I definitely have COVID. And then she comes back and she's like, I have COVID too.
But could you tell people the story of how you think you got it? Because you have a way better story than I do.
Well, also, you don't know where your source is. I know exactly where and when I got it. This is the thing. This last weekend, and for some reason, I kind of forgot COVID existed this past weekend. And I guess it had to come to that point at some time because I've been so careful. You and I have been so careful throughout this entire pandemic. But this past weekend, I was like, I'm going out. I'm going to go say yes to all the invites I've gotten. And one of them is this house party at a friend's house. And she's invited me a few other times and I said no, but this is like the first time I've said yes. And I was pretty excited. But in the middle of this house party, it was on a Friday. First of all, it's in the middle of a residential neighborhood. So all the windows, doors are closed so neighbors don't get bothered by noise. Okay, so everything is sealed in, painting the picture. There are about 60 to 80 people there. I'm not sure. And in the middle of the party, they stopped it to do a 10-minute breathing activation. Okay, it was called an activation. Basically kind of like set your intentions, breathe from your womb, breathe in everybody's energy, and then breathe it out from the top of your head. Okay. So LA, but also at the same time, now looking back, it was a COVID activation. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Breathe in COVID from your womb, breathe in everybody else's COVID germs, and then breathe it out from the top of your head. So Friday, went to the party. Saturday felt a little bit tired. Sunday, had a stomach ache. And then we get an email from the host of the party saying a few people tested positive, and I was like, oh shit. And then Monday, of course, I test positive.
So UA's boyfriend and I, and UA too, have a mutual friend. And she sends me a text from UA's boyfriend. That's like the moment that we breathed from our womb, in quotes, that's when I caught COVID. And I was like, UA left out this part of the story when she told me about the house party. And then I confronted you and you're like, I was saving it for the intro. I didn't want to give it away.
Like, I need to tell you exactly what breathing from my womb meant.
I just went to a house party. Yeah, it was like a super spreader event. And I mean, that alone, yes. But then this was like whole next level. Then you said like there's a sex party that this happened after?
Yes, there was something else that happened. I was not part of that. But what I can't understand is the fact that like when this was all going down, there were no red flags in my mind. I didn't even pause to think, okay, this is dangerous. I was like, great, I'm part of this breathing activation. I want to partake so bad.
It's because there's this myth now that COVID is over. And I feel like the media and government have just given up on it. Like they're like, no one wants to hear about this anymore. We're just going to stop talking about it. And I admit, even like seeing the signs of like, what is it, BA2 is what it's called?
Yeah, I think it's called BA2.
When, like, Dr. Fauci was talking that it's out, I'm like, oh my God, why won't this ever be over?
BA2.
But I don't like that, like, I had a false sense of safety and I let my guard down. And honestly, I wish I had a breathing from the womb story. I don't even have a good story. I don't even know how I got it. I think it might have been from, like, plumbers that came to my house to fix the heater, which is just so sad. But so far, my partner is COVID-free somehow. He is testing negative, yet does have some symptoms. So we can't quite tell if it's in his head or if it's real. You know how like when you start to think that you have COVID.
Oh yeah,
and you
placebo
don't really.
effect. You're like, oh
so
my God.
He did vacate, though, because we still live at separate residences, on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, when I tested, last Tuesday, it'll be a week from when this goes out. So I did not have it on Monday. And I was just like, maybe this is just a cold, because I didn't have like a tracing event, right?
Right.
But the only silver lining here, Yue, is that you were able to catch up on the Ultimatum, which I was really hoping that you would.
Well, I was going to say I feel like the positive of all of this, I don't want to hear that word again.
Nope.
Is that we got it over with, and hopefully we won't get it again for a while.
Yeah.
But we can't pause our lives. I don't know. To me, I was like, was it worth it? I'm not sure if it was worth it, because we also have tickets for Coachella now that we can't no longer go to. But was it worth it in terms of I wanted to see people. I wanted to go to these events, and I didn't want to be stuck at home again, being scared of contracting COVID. And it's extremely contagious right now. And I'm kind of like the last of my friend circle to get it.
Oh, really? I feel like I think like a lot of my friends have not gotten it. I think it's about, I don't know, I want to say like 40% have gotten it.
Still pretty high.
Maybe 30%. I feel like not a lot of my friends have. But anyways, I agree with you. But then on the same token, like I wasn't even doing anything cool to get it.
Well, what I am scared of with COVID is this, Julie. Nat Geo posted this, saying that even a mild case of COVID can shrink part of your brain.
Ugh.
And then recent brain imaging shows the disease can cause physical changes equivalent to a decade of aging and trigger problems with attention and memory.
I am terrified of that as well.
We actually recorded an episode while we were in the middle of our COVID symptoms. And we survived. I think we were able to speak.
I thought we were holding it down. I mean, I'm really curious to see the playback on that one. In the moment, it sounded like we were holding it down.
I was so nervous, though. I was like, if I don't know how to speak?
Yeah, she like walks away. She's like, what the fuck was that?
Well, yeah, what was that? That makes no sense. Also, she was like, wait, you both have COVID?
Yeah. But anyways, this week's episode was pre-COVID when we recorded it, and it is a good one. It's all about, you know, your first real relationship turning into the person that you end up with.
So her name is Sydney. She is from The Bachelor and The Bachelorette franchise. She was also on Bachelor in Paradise. I followed her journey for a while, but she is just a fascinating person because she went from having no relationships to now being engaged to her first actual relationship.
Yeah, and I feel like, yes, many of you probably can't relate to being on The Bachelor, Bachelorette. Bachelor, Bachelorette. Oh my God, I can't speak. I have COVID brain. Bachelor or Bachelorette. But I think a lot of people can relate to this feeling of not having enough relationship experience. Mm-hmm. We hear this all the time, and the fear it brings up of, do I know how to do relationships? Will this person like think I'm not a good candidate because I've never been in a relationship? Or even if you actually get into a relationship, how do I know it's the right person if I have nothing to compare it to? So I feel like we were actually on Sydney's podcast answering dating questions. It's called Something to Share. And as soon as she said that her first relationship is her now fiance, Yue and I were both like, we need to get you on the show to talk about this.
We need this.
Yeah.
We need to talk about this. And it's kind of related to what you were saying earlier, Julie, the ultimatum.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to relate it back to that show.
I've been wanting to talk about this for a week, and finally Yue is caught up.
I binge watched it. I used to, like you, I was like, this premise is so dumb. But then I got sucked into it. And the casting is fantastic because I can't imagine going on a show like that with my partner and then watching him date other people. If you haven't watched the show, the premise is couples come on the show because one person gave the other person an ultimatum of marriage. And the show basically is to test their relationship by having you choose another partner of another partnership, you know, of someone else who came on the show for an ultimatum. And then you have a trial marriage with that other person for 3 weeks. And then you come back to your original partner for 3 weeks. And then you decide who you want to be with or if you don't want to be with anybody at all. I cannot imagine watching my partner be with someone else. And that's what they had to witness that whole time.
I know. It's the Love is Blind franchise at its best. I feel like a little bad talking about that reality show when it's The Bachelor, but it also is in theme because it's reality TV and marriage at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I was so my boyfriend and I were so captivated by this show. We left. We ran into friends on Saturday night. We were at this outdoor music event. Maybe that's where I got COVID. Who knows?
Who knows?
It was outdoors, so it felt
so many
safe,
possibilities.
Who knows? And we ran into them as we were leaving dinner, and they're like, "Oh, are you gonna keep going to these events?" We're like, "We gotta go home to watch the Ultimatum." I'm sorry. We were so sucked into it, and yeah,
So good.
I do want to do an episode about ultimatums. I feel like it's not a topic we've talked about. It feels a little antiquated in my opinion, I think. Until now, it didn't seem like something that was happening that often, but I do see it. On one side, I see if you've been with someone for a long time and it's not moving in the direction you want it to move, it's kind of like shit or get off the pot. I do see that side of it. But then on the other side, it's like, do I really want to be with someone because I forced them to be with me?
Yeah. And the reason why now COVID brain is coming back, I'm like, why was I relating this to Sydney? Is because there are some couples on the show who haven't had much relationship experience, and that is what's preventing them from wanting to marry their partners. For example, April and Jake. Jake just got out of the military, and he's in his early 20s, and he's kind of thinking, well, I don't know if you're the one. I haven't dated around. And she's like, she's 23 years old, and she's like, I know you're the one.
Oh my
you're
God.
Definitely the one for me. It's incredible.
She was my least favorite character, hands down. She annoyed the shit out of me.
She's very memorable, though. She's
very
very
memorable. I think, though, it's fascinating that they chose such a young cast. I was a little surprised by that because I don't know, maybe this is my own biases coming through and just where we live in the country. I feel like when we're 23, I don't know that many people that were dying to settle down and get married, have kids. And I'm sure there are people out there, but I feel like the Ultimatum would have made sense if people were 10 years older than they were and had been together longer for, I don't know, some of them had been together for a year and a half, 2.5 years. Also, Netflix changed some of their ages. It was disclosed that some of them were actually in their 30s, and they made them younger. That's fucked. I don't understand that.
Oh, I wonder why they did that.
Probably just to
That's so weird.
have that young hot vibe. I don't know. It's weird.
That is weird, because I was going to say probably people in their 30s who are giving their partners ultimatums don't want to go on a Netflix show to air out their dirty laundry. But a dumb 22-year-old's like, yeah, let's do this.
Well, I just think it's funny that there were so many people that were like, I was forced to go on this. And it's like, you weren't forced to go on it, I don't know. But I think
also paid.
Yes. The April and Jake scenario, I think I'm not going to give too many spoilers for anyone that hasn't watched, but it was really interesting because he was that scenario that fell into something clearly actually wasn't happy. It wasn't a relationship that he felt seen and heard in. And it did take seeing this experience to see what else is out there and how he could feel in a relationship. So I feel like there's not a clear-cut answer, do you need a lot of experience to know? I still think that you can draw on past relationship experiences you have, even if they're not romantic, to understand how you want to feel in a relationship. So when you when you find that person, you'll know it, whether you've had a zillion significant others or not. But it was fascinating for him that he was that person that, he did kind of need to see what else was out there. And maybe that's just a reflection of age, his own self-awareness, his own self-improvement. It's not always a factor of just not having enough partners.
And if you are unsure about your partner, sometimes it does make sense to date other people, to see what's out there, to figure out how you feel about your current person. But if you feel really secure about your current person and you haven't had much relationship
Right.
experience, it really doesn't matter at that point because you already feel good about that person.
Right. Like, what is it that's holding you back from next steps, especially with ultimatums? Like, I don't know, I think especially, like, not at that age, I can see why people are hesitant to be married. Like, that guy, I'll use him as an example. He had just gotten out of the military. Like, he didn't have
Yep.
a ton of life experience. He didn't know who he was. He didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. I could see why he wasn't ready to just, settle down at that point.
Have you ever given an ultimatum before?
No. I'm trying to think, like, not in the very literal sense. I mean, I think I've definitely given, like, this, like, if you're not ready to commit, I'm moving on. So I guess that's, like, kind of an ultimatum, but we were never together to begin with. I've never given one in the sense of we're together and they're not ready to make that next step. I have not done that.
Me neither, but I have had friends who've done that with their partners.
Yeah. Did it
like
work
either
out
we
for
get
them?
married. TBD. TBD. I think I don't want to be. I don't ever feel like I need to convince someone to be with me or force someone to be with me. It doesn't feel good if you get married to someone because you made them get married to you.
I do have a friend that got close to it and they're happily married now. And I do see that side of it, though. I remember her being like, I'm thinking about ending things. And we knew that he was going to propose. And we're like, don't do that. Don't do that. It's going to be any day now. But I do get it's like, especially, I think it had been 4 years. She's like, I don't want to like keep putting time into this if they're not willing to, take the next step with me. And I think that's very logical, right? Like that's normal to feel that way. But then, things did end up working out. He ended up getting to the same point as her. Did the extra pressure of her help a little? Maybe. It's hard. It's debatable, right? Like, I think there's a couple ways of thinking about it. It's like, I don't want to force someone, but then some people are just very resistant to change, even though it's what they want is to move forward. Doing nothing is easier than doing something. There's behavioral science that backs that up. So sometimes people do need a little push to move in the direction that you're trying to go together.
Well, Nick Lachey in one of the earlier episodes says psychologists would say ultimatums aren't the best at resolving your current problems, but it is great at getting to answers. So I think that's ultimately what it is. It's a test of your relationship and getting to the answers that you're looking for.
Yep.
And it's not so much like, are you fucking going to marry me or not? It's like, are you even thinking about that with me? Maybe that's the answer, right? Are you even in that mindset? Do you even see a future with me?
Right. Well, we could go on a whole tirade on this
how
for
much time we got?
hours, but we're going to stop. If you've been also watching The Ultimatum, let us know. Hit us up on Instagram. Start a Facebook post. We have not seen any Facebook posts yet about The Ultimatum.
Oh, I know.
Which is shocking because most of the time when a new reality TV dating show hits the air, there's always a post.
And I know Janice has been watching because she's been following
Oh my God,
on Instagram. I noticed.
I was going to say our moderator, Janice, every time I look at people from Love is Blind or
She's following
we're calling you out right now. We know you're listening. We're calling you out and we do it with love. It's hilarious. I have like the go-to person, no matter who it is on these casts, is always her that's following
Always
them.
Janice.
So anyways, we have a great episode in store. We're going to move on from it. Announcements, we've already said to hit us up on Instagram and join Lovin's Time of Corona so we could talk about The Ultimatum, but also share this with a friend. You probably have a friend that maybe doesn't feel like they have enough relationship experience, or maybe they're dating someone that feels like they don't have enough relationship experience, or someone that feels burnt out with dating. I think everyone knows someone like that or is that person. And Sydney definitely talks about her journey, and it's a good reminder that things can change in a second.
Or maybe you have a friend who has COVID and who doesn't want to watch TV and just wants to listen to some episodes of Dateable, yeah, send it to them.
Do a Dateable marathon. Yeah.
It's a healing podcast. Okay.
Whatever your friend could take from this episode, we can give them. There's something for everyone here. Okay.